This woman has been sitting in Central Park for over 30 years. Every day at 4 p.m., an 80-year-old woman named Mrs. Eleanor sits silently on a park bench. She brings a single sunflower and never looks at her phone. People pass by. No one notices. But she keeps coming back. Same time, same spot. Why? Well, the answer is both heartbreaking and inspiring. You see, Mrs. Eleanor was diagnosed with early-onset Alzheimer's disease, and every day at 4 p.m., she would wander off. Lost in a world of her own, she would sit on this bench and stare at the sun. As the years went by, the doctors tried everything to bring her back, but nothing worked. Until one day, they had an idea. They placed an ad in the local newspaper asking for volunteers to sit with her and bring her flowers. And that's how this 80-year-old woman spent her last 30 years, waiting for someone to bring her flowers and sit with her in the park. This goes to show that even small acts of kindness can have a huge impact. For 2 weeks, barista Clara saw Eleanor every day. She was always in a rush, always ordering the same drink, never staying longer than a few minutes. But one afternoon, Clara stopped. "Mind if I sit?" she asked. Eleanor smiled. "I was hoping someone would." And just like that, they began their story. They talk. Every day for 2 weeks, Clara would make Eleanor's drink, and then they would talk about anything and everything. Eleanor would tell Clara about her dreams and her fears, and Clara would listen, giving her advice when asked. But as the days went by, Eleanor started coming around less and less. And one day she stopped coming altogether. 2 weeks had passed since they last spoke. And just as Clara was starting to lose hope, Eleanor came back. "I'm sorry I disappeared," she said. "I needed to sort things out in my life." Clara understood. "It's okay. I'm glad you're back." And as Eleanor took a sip of her drink, she knew she was in love with the barista. "This is the cutest thing I've ever seen. So this bench was here the entire time. I just didn't notice it before because, well, it's not that noticeable. But it actually belonged to these two lovebirds. See, this is Eleanor and her husband. And every fall for 45 years, they would sit on this bench and watch the leaves change color. It was their thing. He passed away 5 years ago, but she still comes to the park every year to sit on their bench. Even though it's cold and windy and she's all alone, she still comes because, quote, "I like to believe he visits too, in the wind." She told the reporter that the sunflower was his favorite flower and that's why she always puts one in his memory. This is so sweet. Do you have a story about a lost loved one? Share it with us. Did you ever have a friend who promised to be there for you but never showed up? Last week, my friend Clara promised to meet me at my favorite bench tomorrow. She said she'd be here at 8 a.m. sharp. So I got up early, made some coffee, sat on the bench and waited. And waited, and waited. Where was Clara? No sunflower. Just this big empty space where she was supposed to be. And the next day I went back to the bench. It was empty. The day after that, still nothing. No sign of Clara or her sunflower. I finally got a message from her 3 days later. She said she was so sorry. Something came up, but she'll be there next week. I just got back from vacation. I didn't have service. I couldn't respond. So today, Monday, I'm waiting on the bench for Clara with a growing sense of dread. Will she show up? Will she be the same? Will she apologize? Will she tell me why she didn't come last week? So many questions. This is the most heartwarming thing I've ever seen someone do for a complete stranger. In 2015, a woman named Clara set out to create something beautiful. She took a picture of a sunset and framed it. Then she attached it to a bench in her garden with a plaque that reads, "The Listening Bench. Sit, remember, share a moment with someone who needs it." And then she put another plaque on the back that reads, "Never wait for an opportunity to be kind. Be kind right now." And you can see people sitting on the bench, some crying, some just talking. But the best part is that Clara never waited for people to come and sit on the bench. She would often sit there herself, soaking up the sun and the company. This goes to show that one act of kindness can have a ripple effect, inspiring others to be kind to themselves and to others. 1 week later, Clara finds an envelope under the bench. It says, "To Clara, if you ever come back," she says. And it's a letter. It's from Eleanor. She wrote, "You reminded me I was still worth sitting with. This bench is yours now." Clara looks at the bench, then at the photo in her hands. In the old photo, Eleanor and her friends are sitting on the bench. They're all smiling, but Eleanor's smile reaches all the way up to her eyes, which are sparkling in the sun. Clara sits down on the bench and closes her eyes, remembering the first time she and Eleanor met right here. They were both 12 years old, and they became friends instantly. But then Eleanor's family moved away, and Clara never saw her again until today. When she opened the letter, she felt a connection to Eleanor, like they'd never been apart.